Hey everyone, this is a very exciting day for me that I wanted to share with everyone else, and this actually arrived in the mail for me a couple of days ago, but I've been waiting for a night where it's not so hot and unbearable, because Australia. If there's any country that knows about hot days, it's this one. So anyway, I'm also operating on a slightly different camera angle because I've got half my gear packed up because I'm moving houses soon, but anyway, the point is that yeah, I want to do an unboxing video with this, and of course this is this physical edition to the Turok Trilogy that Limited Run produced. I do have some issues with them as a company, with the way they do business and etc, but all that kind of stuff aside, they are the only people that have made physical copies of the Turok Trilogy on Xbox. I mean, initially it was like the Switch, and then they allowed it for the PS4. At least for the first two Turok games, and I did say, hey, if they ever produce any of those on Xbox, regardless of the company that makes them, I will buy them immediately, and that's what happened here. So, these are also, the individual cases, by the way, are still in the original wrapping. I'll be unwrapping those on camera and showing you everything on the inside. And before I get into that, the one thing I do want to say is that when I bought these, you had to buy everything individually, and that includes the, what's it called, the carry case, the sleeve, whatever popular name someone has affixed to it this month. So, alright, now, I guess probably just need to show off all the angles of this, so I apologize too for this little glare that you can see. This is the best that I'm able to operate with. I think if I hold it back here at this angle, it's going to show what's really need to be shown, but I do like this front cover. I really wish that they just kind of like had a front cover that showed all of the main Turoks from the three games as opposed to just Danielle, but whatever, it is what it is. The spine, which most people will be looking at the most when this sits on the shelf, will be something I think a little bit more familiar to everyone, and of course this is the artwork that has Tulset as opposed to Joshua Fireseed, who was the Turok that was on the front cover of the 64 version. And there's a backstory into that I'm not going to get into. I just want to make this about the unboxing, but yeah, luckily when it was remastered they had Tulset for that one, and as you can see, it morphs its way around, so you know, that's something that I thought was kind of neat. I do like the sort of gloomy imagery that they have on this, and yeah, it's very basic down below, barcode and just plain black, but yeah, I don't know, I think it's kind of neat. And at the very top part there, you've just got showing you the three games that you get with this. So, now the other thing I wanted to mention with this particular sleeve case, cover, whatever it is you want to call it, is the fact that it doesn't have any logos on it that's specific to Xbox. Essentially what I'm fairly certain they did, I'm taking an educated guess here, and I'm 99% certain that what happened was that they just made a sleeve cover that was designed wide enough to fit whatever the widest cases that exist for what they were putting the Turok Trilogy on, and that's PS5. Or if it was either PS5 or PS4, I don't know, because I didn't really look into it. I just wanted the Xbox versions, that being my primary gaming console, and I do know that PS5 and PS4 cases are thicker than that of an Xbox One, and they probably did this too for the Nintendo Switch versions, which are thinner cases again. But at least with the Xbox version that I got, what did they do in order to compensate for, you know, that level of width? Because this is obviously like a because it's void of, like, you know, Xbox or PlayStation and Nintendo, it would have just been something they printed out intended to fit anything. And so, because these are thinner than that of a PS4 case, in order to get around that and compensate, what do? They put these in it. Okay, this is not cardboard. This feels like wood, very specifically. If I don't know if it is, I'm just saying, taking a guess, saying that's what it feels like. If you know what this feels like, if you've ever bought a bookshelf that you had to assemble yourself, at the back part, there's this very thin layer of wood, and this pretty much, I think that's just that. Like, whatever it is they put at the back of bookshelves, this is what that is. But anyway, at least it's a nice dark color, and, you know, all that, so that it sort of blends in with it. I feel like black just does a good job with that, and they come with two of these, by the way. I imagine they either put in thicker ones for the Nintendo version if they did one, or they just added more of these. So, with that part out the way for now, luckily they don't seem to scratch the cases or anything like that, and, you know, which is fine. you know, I kind of would prefer it if they were to make this a different size, but I do understand why they just kind of like made a one-size-fits-all, and then they were like, alright, to compensate for this gap, we'll just throw these things in. So, moment of truth now is the part, and yeah, also looking inside the thing as well. There's not really much in the way of artwork there. The rest of it just sort of folds into here, but no one's really going to be looking at that. I mean, the second you put these back in, it's going to go back on the shelf and it won't even be facing that way anyway. Even if it was empty, you're going to be looking at this part for all eternity as it sits on the bookshelf. So, I will open these, first I'll take the wrapping off, and then I'll showcase the artwork on them. So, I know this seems kind of boring. I don't really want to do anything in regards to like editing or making any cuts in these videos. So, I just kind of want to do everything in one take if I can. And I know, I guess while I'm unraveling these, maybe I should think of some funny jokes that I've heard. They're not going to be great. They're going to be bad dad jokes. For example, what was the Mexican man who suffered anxiety taking medication for Hispanic attacks? Okay, so if you thought that was terrible, buckle up. There's 2 more of these to go. So, okay, need to make a little bit more of an incision on that one. There we go. So I'm trying to do this at a pace where I'm doing it not super slowly to bore everyone, but at the same time, this is sticking to my hand, by the way. Mother. Fuck off. Alright, so I'm trying to do this at a pace where I'm not going too slow to bore everyone, but at the same time not so fast that I may damage the case, because this is very valuable stuff. Keep in mind, I already bought all 3 of these games digitally. I want these to collect, and I think the best thing I should do is, I was wondering if I should take the slip out or if I should just show it like this. There's not much of a glare right now, so I think you get the general idea. I'm just really glad that Xbox One games are region free, but even if they weren't, I'd still get this just for the novelty purposes. So there we go. Maybe I'll just aim this the right way up. So that is your spine, and then at the back, this here is what we've got to look at and admire in the way of the artwork. So just my little opinions of this that I'll give as I'm showcasing these. I do like the fact that this particular overall color does sort of fit in with like majority of the tone of the game, at least when you get to some of the later levels. But and for the most part too, I do like the fact that this is sticking in theme with the logo style and color of the first game. Now, for the first time ever, I get to look in here and see what the disc looks like. Okay, so I'm just gonna, there's no artwork, like internal artwork. Sometimes these slips have artwork on the outside and the inside. None of that with this, so I don't need to take the disc out. I'll just hold it like this so you guys can see what that looks like. And it's pretty much just the front cover just plastered on the disc, which for people who are, what's the word I'm looking for, art something, like artwork connoisseurs or artwork critics, artwork, God, I can't think of the word, not Nazis, it was artwork snobs, I guess. Not that I'm trying to insult anyone or anything like that, this is just the best words that are coming to mind, but I kind of like different artwork so they don't just copy and paste everything from the front cover onto the disc, just so that everything is divided out with its own unique artwork. But at the same time, hey, I got a physical copy of this for once, and I'm happy about that. Would I have preferred it to come with a lot of the limited edition stuff, such as the soundtracks and everything else? Yes, but again, I'm an Xbox guy, I wanted an Xbox, so when I saw this, I'm like, alright, even though I don't get that other stuff that initially came out with Nintendo and I think also the PS4 versions, I will settle for this. And look at that! Remember when we used to get manuals? I understand why they don't do it anymore. I mean, back in the day, you got a manual and you could maybe read it in the car on the way back home, assuming you were a kid and someone else was driving, but there wasn't really a reason to have manuals ever since like the PS3, 360 generation. They still included them, but I mean, you had all your tutorials in the game, and so it kind of diminished the need for having a manual. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like them, but I do understand why, they don't want to waste a lot of extra money printing all these things out. So, alright, nice. So basically what we got here, I'm going to have to look at it to read it because I can't read things mirrored all that effectively. So you've got your, I guess, default controls, Hang on, let me see if I can do something about this glare. Apologies for this. There we go, just trying to readjust the camera brightness. Okay, so, of course you can remap the controls on the Xbox version, and I presume every other single version that's out there, and so you've got your other little thing here with the enemies, and I just want to check one thing, because Leapers... I remember when I still have it, by the way. Oh, look at me, everything's all dark and gloomy and blurred now. In the, what's it called, Nintendo 64 version, instruction manual for Turok 2, there was a enemy that they had in there, but then when the game released, they had to cut the enemy out to think about how it was taking up too much power and resources and screwing with the frame rate, you know, like the expansion pack didn't do that enough. So anyway, yep, this is what we got on the other pages, just a continued page with the enemies, and then something about Stephen Homie. It looks like it's just a little message or something like that from one of the lead programmers of either, I guess, the remaster or the original, probably the original. I'm sorry, I don't have time to go into all of that in detail, but anyway, you can always pause this and then read everything that's, you know, currently on screen right now, assuming that you can. And yeah, that is the last page, so anyway, that's just all you get at the back. So, that is Turok 1, done and dusted. Now, it's time for me to open, anyway, Turok 2. So, game old trusty knife. Obviously, I've got a thing for Turok 2. By the way, it's my favorite first-person shooter ever. It's probably very hyped there, being my almost, yeah, I would say my favorite video game ever. Of course, I also love 3D platformers like, you know, Banjo-Kazooie and all them. So, if you couldn't tell, I was raised on the Nintendo 64 as a kid. I mean, I'm 35 right now as I film this. On the 28th of, was it, January 2025. Alright, now to get this part off, and yeah, I guess I have to promise everyone another terrible joke, since this is coming off easily. I made it make it a quick joke. Did you know that if you leave your teeth in a bowl of Coca-Cola overnight, you'll drown? And, of course, it's that stupid stickiness going on. There we go. So, here's what we got to admire in this one, and also the sleeve is poking out a little bit, so I want to push that down just to avoid damage as soon as I can, or potential damage, rather. Alright, so now that I've done that, let's admire the artwork on this one. Yep, your basic standard Turok 2, you know, default, you know, front cover there, and you know, that's the right way up, so more or less what you would expect the spine to look like. And looking at the back, surely I'm not the only one who thinks that this is a little bit incongruous to this, because when you look at this, you think, obviously, Turok 2, badass video game, and then the back here, this looks like Futurama. Like, it reminds me of Futurama. Don't get me wrong, I understand that both of them are, like, you know, sci-fi oriented, but no, I don't want to be thinking of Futurama when I think of Turok. I want to think of Turok. And for the most part, the backdrop color on this is pretty nice. I just really wish that this didn't look so Futurama oriented, but, you know, aside from that, whatever. Keep in mind, I am sort of being a bit of a harsh critic on this, simply because this is one of my favorite video games of all time. My second favorite, or at least on par with Turok 2, is The Darkness, the first one. Really, really fun video game. I didn't mind the second one, but it was a very different game to the first one. But anyway, I'll shut up about that now, because we're here for... Excuse me. I've been having soft drink, I've got the burps. We're here for Turok, aren't we? So, again, no inner artwork with the sleeve, but yep, that's the case. Pretty much copying and pasting what we did with the other one. The front cover that's on here is now on this and on this. And let's see what they got in this manual. I'm going to laugh if they actually include an enemies page, and that enemy that was cut from the game is on here. So, alright, cool. So it looks like this is a mini, you know, sort of artwork book as well. So we've got, yeah, some things in there for Joshua, and I love how they had to put in brackets, you know, that he's Turok. Like, really? You think we're not going to know that? I mean, I understand that when Acclaim took over Turok, which, for those 1% of you watching this that don't know, Turok was a comic book series that started, I think it was far back as the 60s, maybe the late 50s, but fairly certain it was the 60s where it came out. But Turok was the actual character's name then, and Acclaim came along and then made that a title instead. So, I don't know, I think this actually looks quite good. It's, oops, sorry, I just dropped the damn thing on the ground. My hands are slightly sweaty because it is still Australia, even though it's not the hottest night that we've had this year. It's, not pleasant. And I've been shirtless all day. I wore this shirt for you fine folks. No one needs to see my hairy chest, and at the same time, come on, this is more appropriate, I think, for the theme of this video. Okay, what's the next page? Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of a glance at this myself just so that I can see what's on here. In case there's something I want to talk about when I show this to the camera. But in this sense, there's not, except the fact I kind of think it's funny that these swamp wasps made a sound that, at least to me, was very reminiscent of seagulls. But hopefully I'm not the only one. What else we got on this one? So far I'm not seeing that particular enemy that was cut from, the original game. So it looks like this is so far staying true to what was in the remastered version only. I got blind. There we go. Right here. Some of my favorite enemies in the game, because they're essentially, technically, I know that by definition they're not zombies, but whatever. It's reanimated dead flesh. To me, it's close enough. And it's like monsters that come back to life as zombies. That's double jeopardy, and it's fucking awesome. And let's see what else we got. Well, hey, what do you know? Yeah, look at that. They actually have a designated page, but at least they specifically stated that these were creatures cut from the game. And the hunter was the one I was referring to. Maybe this was in like one of the other strategy guides or manual or something for Turok 2, I just don't remember. So, yeah, interesting. It would have been nice if Night Dive found a way to put that back in the game, but I think they were just trying to preserve the original gameplay style for the most part, but just improved it to the extent that I think maybe the original developers at Acclaim wanted it to be when it came out, but couldn't due to limitations of the console at the time. And let's see what we got in this one. Again, I'm just here to inform what this entails, so this is technically just show and tell. Anyway, all this concept art you guys can admire in your own way and make your own opinions about it. So, and there we go, last page is this. And of course the back page on this booklet is just that. So, this one goes back in the case, and now we're moving on to Shadows of Oblivion. Okay. Now I need to think of another really crappy joke to tell, and I don't really know what that is. Although I will say this much: at the moment, my current job is I work at a billing agency, and there's some interesting names of doctors that come through. And of course, every single time there's a doctor with a questionable surname or one that I can make jokes out of, I'm making the jokes. And the other month we had a doctor sign up whose surname was Day. And I was like, that's kind of funny. I mean, hey, when this doctor's done, is that referred to as a day job? And there was another doctor we had as well whose surname was Luck, who was also a surgeon, which, not the worst surname. I mean, if you were undergoing surgery, wouldn't you want Luck on your side? I think that actually might be a great business card for that doctor as well. Handing that to people. Hey, you need surgery? Well, don't worry, you're in luck, and you'll have luck on your side. Something to that nature. I don't know. Someone rephrase that and make it sound awesome, and then, say that it was me that thought up the whole thing. Alright, so, here we go. Shadows of Oblivion, just making sure that sleeve isn't poking out a little bit, which it is. So I'm just going to align that in, because I want this thing protected. Obvious reasons. Anyway. All these, when I ordered them, it wasn't the cheapest thing ever. It was, I think, roughly 220 Australian dollars. That includes the postage. And, yep, much like the other ones, no internal artwork. And, sorry, I'm just trying to rotate the disc around so that it's up the right way. Alright, so, anyway, there we go. Front cover. More or less what everyone I think was expecting. It's just Oblivion who, for all the talk that, sort of the way that they talked this guy up, kind of an easy boss in the game, really. Anyway, and of course, final page. This, yeah, also looks really great in regards to the way that, this text looks and theme of the game, backdrop cover and everything. I don't know, I like it. And now we get to see what's inside. And again, there's the disc. Very similar to sort of like what we're getting on the front page, but no Oblivion in the in the artwork picture. Of course, that's just the same as the front cover. And let's see what sort of artwork we can see in this. This feels very much a lot thinner than the other one, so wonder why. Anyway, whatever. Here's the pages, and if I'm going to show you everything, I'm going to show you everything. So there's that. This is flipping around, by the way. If it wasn't obvious, I've got a fan on because I don't have aircon in this room. I have what we call poor people's aircon, which is a pedestal fan. And in Australia, you need at least 3 of those, you know, covering you at all angles. You know, kind of like a good ambush. Alright, so there we are, just a couple of characters. Well, there's definitely no pages on here that's going to be showcasing the enemies, but I feel like they, did somewhat of a bare minimum for this. Because that is all the pages for this one. Yay. And that brings us to the end of the video. So, again, I really would have preferred it if there was something like soundtracks and all these other additional cards or artwork books and stuff like that, or statues that I could have purchased with this, but, you know, it is what it is. So, these go back in here. You guys go back to whatever it was that you were doing prior to watching this video, and I wish you all the best. So thanks for tuning in. You know, bye-bye. I'll catch you in the next one, and, you know, have a good day or night, whatever time it is where you currently are. Go play some games. Catch you guys.